The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside to a Tuesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends up there, top right corner of the screen. You know who they are. Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, so you don't have to. And what a great opportunity we have to be sponsored by Greenwood. We thank them for their constant belief in the show at Running Point. We wouldn't be able to do it without them. And we wouldn't be able to do a lot of things at YSN without the sponsorships that we have across the board. And that is a good segue to remind everybody out there that is a business owner or wants to maybe get their feet wet in sponsoring their business on YSN Live. It's a great time to do it. We are wrapping up the winter season, preparing for the spring, and that's a great time to jump into our broadcast. Put your commercials, put your logos on the screen, and we would love to have you. Go to ysnlive.com/advertisements to see our packages and see what we have in store for you. We have a great show in store for you today. We are going to recap the tournament action that we saw last night. 3 boys games, 3 district championship tickets punched last night, 2 of them for YSN schools, so that's always fun. We'll recap that action. We will also preview tonight's action. We have more district semifinals tonight from the 2 scenes that we had them last night, like the boys always do. It's staggered 2 games in 2 days from the district host. So we have district semifinals to preview for tonight. And then the interview section of the show today is going to be a very special interview, an exclusive at YSN. We have former Cardinal Mooney standout and YSU standout as well, Donald D'Alessio. He is now the safeties coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, 2-time Super Bowl champion for him, as he's been there for 3 seasons now, going into his 4th. Fresh off the combine, he took some time to talk with me last night. We had a great interview just about how he's bringing that grit and attitude that Youngstown kind of puts into you, as he's bringing that into the Kansas City Chiefs building, and what it's been like in this roller coaster ride for him, going from a coach at Youngstown State to a coach to LSU to a coach in the Chiefs organization in the span of just 3 years. I mean, it happened quick, and now he's thriving in Kansas City. Started as a defensive assistant, already got promoted to a safeties coach, and they had one of the best defenses in the NFL, ranked 2nd in total defense. So he's a big reason why, and we had a great conversation with Donald last night about just what life is like right now. We didn't dive into the nitty-gritty of the Chiefs too much, because we were just talking about, life and how it's been a whirlwind to go from a kid in Youngstown that played flag football in the YMCA all the way now to holding 2 Lombardi trophies and being able to call himself a 2-time Super Bowl champion. It's an incredible roller coaster ride that you find yourself on. So it's a great conversation with him. We'll have that in the second half of the show. But first and foremost, let's hop into the scoreboard on ysnlive.com and see what was going on last night. The scoreboard on the website can be found at ysnlive.com/scores, and it is always presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. The YSN scoreboard is a great tool for our fans, whether you are at one of the games or watching one of our broadcasts, or hopefully both, because that would be a great use of your time, taking in a game, pulling one up on your iPad right there, and having the other one up so you can keep an eye on it. But no matter what you're doing, you don't want to look away from the action for too long. And the YSN scoreboard is a great, quick way to get not only the scores, but live updated scores on your favorite teams across the YSN family. We have a very hardworking team behind the scenes that is making sure that the scoreboard is as live updated as possible. Our announcers send in scores, and then our team plugs them into the website. So you don't have to wait until late at night for final scores to come wheeling in. You can get the live updated score right to your phone or tablet or computer. ysnlive.com/scores is once again where you can find it. And it is presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. As perfect time to visit them because the weather's starting to heat up. We're starting to see that glimpse of warm weather. I don't think we're out of the winter train yet. If we know anything about Ohio, we know that it usually doesn't, really gradually leave us until mid-April at the earliest. But hey, we have warmth right now at 70 degrees here in Northeast Ohio in the first full week of March. Can't complain about that. I know softball and baseball teams are out there scrimmaging last night as we speak. Let's go into the scoreboard from last night, and the two teams on the YSN family that won pretty handily. There was no problems in the district semifinals. Warren JFK in Division 4. They were in Grand Valley. They win the district semifinal over Hillsdale 81-49. Their big three-headed monster with a big game as well. Nico Cimarino and then Michael Condolian, Nick Ryan all had big games. Jaden Ritchell just a tick below double figures with 9. So yeah, when they're all going on full blast, really hard to stop that Warren JFK team, and they have proven it with the 81 points they put up last night. Cardinal Mooney also with a big win, 82-32. No problems over Mapleton. And they advance easily into the district finals. And one of the benefits now, they get to kind of sit back and watch teams this week. I shouldn't say this week, today. So their opponent's going to be determined tonight in Salem and Grand Valley. Warren JFK. Let's see. I forget who they're awaiting the winner of. There's a lot of brackets to go over. Hold on. We'll get you the teams that Warren JFK is waiting on. Warren JFK waiting on the winner of Heartland Christian and Bristol tonight in Grand Valley. So the winner of that game will play Warren JFK on Friday in Grand Valley at 7 o'clock. Mooney will await the winner of South Range and Perry tonight going on in Salem at 7 o'clock. That game will also be Friday. So the winner tonight going on to play on Friday against Mooney. And that one will be at 7 o'clock at Salem. Western Reserve, unfortunately, just could not find a weakness in Richmond Heights. If you don't know about Richmond Heights boys basketball, you haven't been paying close enough attention to our district and our region. They've been giving everyone in Division 4 a run for, not a run for their money, but just a reason to have troubles. They're a thorn. They're one of the best teams in Division 4 the last couple of years. This year may be a quote-unquote down year in their standards. They're the 4 seed. They're usually the 1 seed automatically, but they're still very good, and they proved that last night with a win, dominating fashion over Western Reserve. Final score was 62-26. So we want to congratulate Western Reserve on a great season, and we want to make sure that they know how much we loved covering them this year. We had plenty of player profiles go up from Western Reserve. They were great kids to talk to. And man, what a great program. Now we look forward to seeing them, the ones that do play baseball on the baseball field. We will have a representative of Western Reserve at the All-Star game on March 24th at Boardman High School. Don't miss that. And for the basketball players that are basketball only, we can't wait to see you again next winter when the basketball season starts back up. I know it feels like a long time away, but it will sneak up on you real quick. So those are the scores. It was a 3-game night last night for tournament time. While we're at it, let's just go and look at what's going to be going on tonight. We'll just hop on to March 5th, which is today. 2 games tonight, South Range and Perry going on at Salem. And then Heartland Christian and Bristol. Once again, both those teams already know who they'll have to play if they win. Heartland and Bristol, that'll be a big game for Heartland. They already have one big upset to get into this district semifinals, beating Badger. And now they'll have to work through another one with a very good Bristol team. And then Perry and South Range, this is a 12 versus 19 seeds going at it against each other. South Range still trying to look for their first ever district championship as a program. They've been getting close. They've been to a couple of district championships, of course, over their years. But this basketball program, whether you believe it or not, has never won a district championship. They've had a lot of great players come through that program, but they've always run into a bigger fish in the district finals, whether it be Springfield for so many years, where Springfield was the top dog and in Division III, or maybe I should say the top cat. There were a couple of Crestview teams that knocked South Range out of the districts. They've always just run into a team that was as hot at the right time. There's never been good timing. Last year was Lutheran West, obviously. So we're gonna have to see if South Range can pull it off this year. One win away from a chance to win a district championship, but they have to take care of a very good Perry team first. Try to get some revenge for their football team who lost to Perry in the playoffs this year. So we'll see how that goes down tonight in Salem. We will get you the announcers. Let's just do it right now. Let's just tell you what announcers will be where tonight for the tournament action. This will be a pay-per-view, as all district games are at YSN. So one payment of $9.99 gets you access to both games. Chris Sigler and Noah Doty going to be on the call for South Range and Perry at Salem. And then Tyler Hartz is going to be in Grand Valley for your coverage of Heartland Christian and Bristol. So both those games are covered. They're cleared. We will have announcers there. Once again, it'll be pay-per-view. So one payment of $9.99 gets you access to both of those games on the network tonight. So now that we have the time, remember I said yesterday I was going to take a break, talk too much. We're going to postpone that conversation I wanted to have about the districts, especially on the girls' side, and how the districts are completely wrapped up. We have one district champion in the YSN family. Last year we had 5. So we've dropped a significant amount of teams that have won district championships on the girls' side from one year to the next. Now, one reason for that is, of course, we lost a really good senior class. I'm not going to try to sit here and say that last year's senior class across the YSN family wasn't really, really good and had a lot of these teams, in position to win a district championship. But there's also this big, fish in the water, this big elephant in the room, that these districts this year, because of the RPI, I think that's why they did it, but they're expanded. They're 4 districts put together in one now. So teams that you would normally run into in the regionals are now in the districts. So, and you have really, really good basketball in our region, in our district now. Northeast Ohio and girls basketball has a ton of talent. And a lot of it is just outside of our Tri-County area. Doylestown, Chippewa, Smithville, Warrensville Heights, Waynedale, Keystone. These are all teams you would see in the regional. But now they're in our district. So you run into them now, and the chances of winning a district go a little bit down, because now you have the unfortunate, I just went into Division III, by the way, with those schools. But you have the unfortunate circumstance where you have to run into those schools. You have to run into a Laurel in a district. You have to run into Gilmore Academy. You have to run into these schools that you would normally see in the regional, and it's not going away. So you either sit there and mope that, oh man, well, actually, I guess it is going away because they're extending the districts. But still, someone's going to have to play those teams in a district. Someone's going to have to play Waynedale and Warrensville Heights and Chippewa, teams that, like I said, you would see in the regionals most of the time. You're going to have to beat them anyway, whether you beat them in the district or beat them in the regionals. Like if you want to win a state championship, you got to go beat them. Now it's you got to find a way to beat them in the districts, and you either raise the bar or you don't, right? So those are the two options that our girls teams are going to be faced with now, and that's going to go across the board. I think in every sport. I think after this year, I know softball this year is going back to the coaches' drawings, of course, but I think after this season, the OHSA is going to look at this tournament and say, yeah, it was successful. We made a lot of money, which is what they look at. So they're not going to go away with this RPI rankings. They're just not. This was a test. I think they have plans to just expand it to every sport. So volleyball is probably going to be RPI based, and then eventually softball too. So if you're a girls athlete out there and you think that you're going to be just winning easy districts against local teams, this is not the case anymore. Lutheran West and volleyball. Not Lutheran West. Middle Lake Catholic and volleyball, a team that probably one of the best teams in the state, in the country, period. They might be in our district now when we come back next volleyball season. Forget about trying to see them in regionals. They might land in someone's district. Is this how it's going to shake out? We have a big district now with a lot of teams to pull from. There were some divisions that had 70 plus seats, right? I think Division 3 had somewhere in the 40s. Division 2, same thing. Division 1 had more than 65. That's a lot more than last year when it was 26, right? So our district has gotten bigger, which means a lot of better teams are in it, which means there's less food to go around per se, and that's one of the big reasons why you're seeing our teams not be able to punch through districts this year. But we saw people raise the bar when the regionals got harder and the districts got harder from 13 to 26 when they made that move to make super districts during the COVID year. There were teams that raised the bar. It took about a year. There were teams that raised the bar then. There will be teams that raise the bar now and know this is the reality. We can't escape it. We have to do this to win a district championship. And there will be those championship mindset teams that raise the bar and just go do the thing. That's just, the reality of sports, right? You either raise to the occasion when things get a little bit harder, or you sit there and you make excuses and you say, well, we shouldn't be in this district. We should, it's not going to change. You're not going to complain to the OHSA enough to say, okay, let's go back to 13 teams and let's make it all local. It's just not going to happen anymore. So we're stuck in this reality, whether you like it or not. So your choices are to raise the bar and to go win district championships the hard way, or, sit back and rest on your sectional champions in your, great regular season and just say that's enough. We don't want to raise the bar anymore. But we have so many great teams in this area. I don't see any of them doing that, any of the coaches doing that. I think we're going to be just fine. It just takes some time to get used to this reality and raise the bar. And the good news about this season is because there wasn't as much of a senior class as last year, we're going to see a lot of returning players next year being put right back in this situation, right back into this this moment with the experience of this year. A lot of teams got into the district championship. And the only one that's losing a huge chunk of their roster, I think, is Howland and West Branch, and then everyone else that was in the district championship, bringing back a solid amount of what got them there. So everyone's going to be just fine. I know there's a lot of people hitting the panic button because all of a sudden we're only seeing one team enter the regional this year on the girls' side, and a lot of people, well, this is ruining the sport. We can't do this. Can't believe that the OHSA is doing this to us. We need to take a breath. Let these teams that are full of wonderful coaches, wonderful programs, wonderful cultures, give them the chance to just raise the bar a little bit and get to this level. And maybe you're going to see teams have deeper runs more often because you're knocking down these Titans in the districts and you don't have to deal with them anymore in the regionals. And now all of a sudden you get through regionals, you get to state. So just got to be a little bit patient, take a breath. We have one team in the regionals on the girls' side. Hopefully we get a couple on the boys' side. And we're going to have some fun before we get into the spring season. Bear with everybody, all right? Don't hit that panic button if you're a basketball fan. 1 year where we don't have a lot of teams in regionals is not the end of the world, especially if it means these teams get infinitely better in the next couple of years because they're exposed to higher level basketball earlier, right? They are forced to raise the bar. And we have championship mindset programs and coaches in this area on the YSN family that will absolutely do that. I believe that full-heartedly. Love the coaches we have on the basketball side. Love all the coaches we have on every side. We are blessed with such good coaches in all of our sports. But when we're talking about basketball now, we have a lot of winning culture programs that are built because of the coaches that are there. So, want to remind everybody, it's not panic button time. It's just the first year that this district got a lot harder, and they will raise the bar in the next couple of years. We will see our teams get back to where they are. This is not a down step of basketball in the area. I promise you that. We are not taking steps back. We are still getting better at basketball in the Tri-County area. Promise you. Don't let this season make you believe that all of a sudden we've lost our window and we can't make good runs in basketball in the area. We have not lost our window. We've gotten thrown into a bigger district with bigger teams, better teams, and we will be fine. We will raise the bar. We will do what we always do here in this area. We will raise the bar. We will get better, and we will be back next year. We will put teams into this regional tournament. So congratulations to Springfield, the team that's been there now 3 years in a row. They know how to win. They're going to play on Thursday. But everyone else, don't hit the panic button. We will rise the bar. We're going to take a commercial break here on Running Point. When we come back, we will have that interview with the current safeties coach of the Kansas City Chiefs and a standout in the Mooney and Youngstown community, Donald Delesio. We will be back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Don't go anywhere.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you as always by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. You heard from them on that commercial break. There are wonderful sponsors that help us do things like we're about to do, which is share an interview, very special guest with Cardinal Mooney alum, YSU alum, a Youngstown guy that is now doing great things with the Kansas City Chiefs, two-time Super Bowl champion for him, rose the Lombardi Trophy last year, rose it this year as well. Donald Delisio from Kansas City. He joined me yesterday, fresh off the combine, too. So we thank him for his time. This is a great interview. Can't wait for you guys to hear it. So, here, without further ado, is that great conversation. All right, Anthony Hartwig here. We are joined with a very special guest today. We have a little bit of time with basketball winding down before baseball and softball starts. We wanted to talk to someone that is turning into a legend for the Youngstown community, someone that is holding up the proud name of Youngstown in Donald Delisio from Cardinal Mooney High School. He's a graduate from there, graduate from YSU, now the safeties coach over in Kansas City for the Chiefs, two-time Super Bowl champion for you, three-time Super Bowl champion for Kansas City in the last 5 years and 4 overall. Donald, thanks for giving us your time. Obviously, you're so busy. Just got back from the combine. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me, and excited to talk to you for a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun, but we want to start with just the roots. Obviously, Youngstown, Ohio, where you're born and raised. You're a Cardinal Mooney grad. When you think about where it all started and some of the memories that pop up for you of falling in love with the sport of football here in Youngstown and football in Youngstown in general, what kind of things come to mind when you kind of get reflective?
When I first think about playing football and just my upbringing there, I started, first thing I ever did was play flag football for the YMCA. We played at Rocky Ridge. And, when you're that young, you're just running around having a good time with your friends. You really don't know kind of what you're really doing and why you're doing it. And then as I grew up, the first time I played tackle football was in 4th grade for the West Catholic Crusaders. Coach Ken Kohler was our head coach, and he was a legend from the guys that know, back in the day of playing for him and who he is and everything. And I always tell people he was the first one who kind of taught us football the right way. And I was fortunate to be able to learn it, in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade of playing for him. And at the time, you don't really know kind of, what you're going through and why you're doing it. But then when you look back and you're able to reflect on it, he taught you so many lessons, not just about football, but the game of life also. And the other person I always talk about is Michael Zordich, who I know him as Coach Z and refer to him as Coach Z. But I'm best friends with his son, Alex. We grew up our whole lives together. And Coach Z was another one who took us in at a young age and taught us football. He happened to coach us at the West Catholic Crusaders. I'm in 4th grade, and here's this guy who played 12 years in the NFL teaching me the fundamentals of football. And then obviously as I was able to grow and become older, he took the time and sat us down and taught us the true X's and O's of how the game works. And I was fortunate enough to have him be one of my coaches at Cardinal Mooney. Obviously, Coach Fecco gets a great deal of credit for my development. Coach Ron Stoops was our defensive coordinator. And then Chris Emil was a guy who took a lot of us under his wing and, took us places, did things with us, and taught us football the right way. So I think a lot of it just – I was fortunate to be around the right people growing up. And I've mentioned before, my dad was a high school basketball coach at Youngstown Cheney who produced a bunch of football players. So as I was the ball boy for them, I watched my dad coach and interact with the guys and just the way he handled things. And even though it was a different sport, I was still able to learn a bunch from him. And then seeing, like I said, those Brad Smith, Anthony Floyd, guys like that from Cheney that went and took their game to the next level and then played in the NFL, I was around those types of guys kind of my whole life. And just watching all that happen, I knew this was something that I kind of wanted to be involved in. And I owe a lot of my success to the people that kind of brought me up in the Youngstown area.
I asked so many high school athletes the same question. When did you start to feel the sport turn into something that you didn't just enjoy, but you knew I wanted to work really hard at and you could take this as far as you could? When did that shift happen for you?
For me, it was I would have to realistically say my junior year of high school. You know, I was fortunate enough to play and start for Cardinal Mooney when I was a sophomore. And when I was at Mooney, we had a lot of success. I mean, we played for 8 straight state championships. But I was able to play and start as a sophomore. But at that time, I was still young and I was just having fun with my friends, and I happened to be good at the game. And then once my junior year came around, and I kind of, started to get recruited a little bit, and just saw the people before me, Kyle McCarthy, Danny McCarthy, Taylor Hill, Timmy Marlowe, Brandon Beecham, those types of guys. Just to see where the game took them. That's when it kind of started to click for me. And, education was everything to me. And for someone to say, hey, we're going to let you play football and pay for you to go to school, get a free education. That's when it started to kind of amp up for me. And Coach Chris Emile, who I've mentioned before, he was one who kind of first told me, like, you can do this at the next level if it's something you want to do. So I would say right around that time is when it kind of clicked, and I realized I could take it to the next level.
You walk into the gym in Mooney, and the first thing you notice the championship banners. You can't miss them. They're running out of room in the walls in that gymnasium for the championship banners. Being a part of a program in a school that has such a rich, just winning tradition of champions from the past to the present, how much do you think that carried you into the rest of your career to where you are now, just having that mentality always instilled in you of this is what it takes to be a champion?
Yeah, it definitely did. And that started when I was younger, going to those Cardinal Mooney Camp of Champions. It's funny that that's what they name it, but I'm there, and, Bob Stoops, Mark Stoops, Bo Pelini at the time, who was at LSU in Nebraska. I'm, 6th, 7th grade. And these are the guys that are coming back to coach us and talk to us while we're at this football camp. And it's kind of something that was instilled in you from when you got there, and you knew that you weren't going to just show up and win a state championship, because from talking to the guys that came before you and then being in it from my sophomore year, junior year, things like, the hard work and what it takes to win a state championship and to be a champion. And therefore, when we were going through it, we won it my freshman year. Then we lost on a blocked extra point my sophomore year, lost in the state semifinals my junior year. So at that point, it was like, all right, our senior class took it upon ourselves to be like, look, we're going to go out on top type deal, and that was the year we were able to go 15-0 and get it done. But all those lessons I thought carried over, as I went and played at Youngstown State, and then kind of started my coaching career, where it's the ultimate goal at any level, no matter what you're doing. When you start the season, obviously everybody wants to be, the champion of whatever they're playing. So I think just kind of going into Mooney and understanding why you're there, what you're there for, and the ultimate goal, I thought that kind of started my, career in the competition, and knowing what we're in it for.
You have such a good football career. You jump right into coaching. Was that something that you always felt yourself having in the future? Did you have something that happened down the road that sparked your interest in coaching? Talk about that transition from becoming the player to becoming the coach.
Yeah, it's funny. While I was playing, I would have said, no, I'm not, I didn't think I was going to go down this path. And I got extremely close with who I played for, Eric Wolford at Youngstown State. And, from talking to him and the coaches I've had at Youngstown when I was playing, a lot of them were like, this is something you should do, kind of were pushing for me to do it. And at that time, what I really saw was the come and going of these coaches. Like, I played for 3 coordinators and 4 position coaches in the 4.5 years I was at Youngstown State. So I saw these people like come and go, but it was all for good reasons. These guys were going to get other jobs at, other schools and whatnot. And then when I got done, I started my master's when I was playing. And when I got done playing, I had like 3 classes go, call it, to finish my master's. And at that time, Bo Pelini had got there, which I knew Coach Bo just from Mooney, in the sense of shaking hands, saying hey, and all that, through his nephew Mark. But I didn't know him like that. And Coach Stoops was still on the staff, and he reached out. Tim Marlowe, who I played with at Mooney, happened to become the assistant secondary coach at Youngstown State. And when I got done playing, I kind of stepped aside and was just trying to figure out what I was going to do. And both of them kind of reached out and, said like, hey, we're looking for some help. Do you want to finish your master's, kind of become a GA? And at that point was when I was like, you know what, let me go finish my master's, see how I like this coaching gig, and then kind of decide when I was done. And one thing led to another, fell in love with it, and fell in love with working for Coach Bo and his staff. And then just kind of hit the ground running, and here I am.
When you look back at yourself as a player, like how would you coach yourself? How do you think you would, what kind of coaching advice would you give yourself?
I would give myself the coaching advice of you're not smarter than your coaches and to do what they're saying.
Is it easier to coach, but though, because you went through those thoughts as a player, so you know where they're coming from, if you see that kind of attitude in a college kid when you were at YSU or LSU or even a pro, that comes in as a rookie and they have that same kind of, swagger and attitude, like, where that's coming from because you were there.
Yeah. I think it definitely helps me as a coach, being a former player, just kind of knowing what you're going through day to day, and just how to talk to people, how to treat people, especially the guys, that you're coaching up every day, because it's such a relationship based business. And, we're all fighting for the common goal. So I think just how you treat people, the way you speak to people, I think that goes a long way in this profession, and getting guys to, buy in and play for you and do what you're asking, and that type of deal. But I know I was hard-headed sometimes for some of those coaches I was playing for.
Sometimes football players just have to be a little bit hard-headed. It just comes to the territory. Let's talk about this coaching career, because we talked about it before we hit record, how fast it just kind of whirlwind on you, and you went from YSU to LSU to Kansas City so quick. When you reflect on all that and the whirlwind it was, what kind of things come to mind on how it all shaped out?
I'm extremely grateful for the people I played for, the people I've mentioned in the past, and then I owe a lot to Coach Bo Pelini, who, like I said, when I first got there, I played secondary, and when I showed up, he was like, hey, let's put you with the defensive line to learn under Carl. His brother, Carl Pelini, was the defensive coordinator and defensive line coach. And when Coach Bo said that, who am I to tell him, like, and he was like, for your future, I want you to do this, because if you want to become a coordinator, you got to learn things front and back end. And when I went, I just sat in that defensive line room and listened to Coach Carl coach, and took as much in as I could. And that helped my coaching career tremendously. I go through IGA one season with Carl as a D-line coach, and then I become the defensive line coach my following year. So I really spent 7 months, kind of learning the defensive line. And then Coach Bo gave me the opportunity. Carl moved to linebackers, and Coach Bo gave me the opportunity to interview with him and Carl for the defensive line job. And, for him I just got done playing 18 months ago. There's guys in the room that I played with that now I'm given the opportunity to coach. So for those two guys, just to give me my first shot to run a room and to become a coach and recruit and game plan and all that stuff, I'm forever grateful for those two guys and what they've given me. But to be able to learn the game the right way as a coach from Coach Bo, X's and O's schematically, how you go about things, that was what kind of set the groundwork for my coaching career, the foundation for my coaching career. And then I was able to kind of just elevate through the ranks with him. And I would always pick his brain, spend as much time as I could with him when we were in the building at Youngstown State. And then obviously being able to go to LSU with him, where that's such a, premier cream of the crop college football, blue blood. To be able to go there and go through it in the SEC, was another step in my career that kind of helped me get to where I am.
Taking these steps so fast, how important was it to your success to be present where you were at? I mean, a lot of people will look at that career from the outside and go, those are the stepping stones. He wasn't, he might have been thinking about his future when he was at LSU. How can I use this job for the next job? But we know different. We know that you were just locked into where you were. And because of the, relationships you made at LSU, you were able to move on. So how important was that for your success to stay present where you were at and not be thinking about, this could be a stepping stone to my future job, or I could go get in the NFL because I'm working at LSU, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, it's all about being where your feet are. And from people I've been around, in the coaching career, there's some mentors and guys that you kind of want to be like and things like that, learn from, and who you can trust. And they've always told me, like, the most important job is the job you have, because whatever your players put on film is also a reflection of you as a coach. So for you to have, your players got to have success, because that's also your resume. And I knew if I always thought about the next step, or where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do, that I wouldn't be concentrating on the task at hand. And that's just not me. Whatever I deal with, I'm all in, and they're going to get the best out of me. I'm going to give them everything they got, everything that I have, to get the job done, because I love to compete. I'm an ultra competitor. I hate to lose. So no matter what I'm doing, I'm trying to, get the job done the right way. And to do that, you can't worry about what your future holds and where you're trying to go.
The last time we had you on YSN, you just got the job in Kansas City. You really didn't have a chance to even get your feet wet yet. I remember asking you something about the draft, and you respectfully were like, dude, I just got here. I don't even know. Like, the players I have yet, So now that you've been there for a long time, we can ask, like, what was it like to transition into the NFL? And what was your first kind of welcome to the NFL moment? You see all those with the rookies on ESPN. Hey, rookie, welcome to the NFL. What was your welcome to the NFL moment when you started in Kansas City?
It's funny. Once you get settled in, honestly, you realize that the game is the game, the fundamentals are the fundamentals, and you're still trying to win. The field doesn't change, nothing like that. Obviously, being outside the building, and you hear about Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, just two guys, and then Tyrann Mathieu would have been the other one, because as I was playing, I was watching Tyrann at the same time. Not knowing what those guys are actually like as people, and then here I am, I come in the building, I'm spending every day with them. And the more time you spend with them, you realize they're outstanding individuals off the field, great people, very personable, things like that, where, I'm sitting here having conversation with Tyrann, and we're in the same DB room, and I'm watching him work, and he's giving me as much knowledge as anything I can give to him. And, that's just me listening to him and his thought process and things like that. So it wasn't anything that happened to me or this or that. It was just me going in there, going through the day to day, and realizing that even though we're at the highest level, the fundamentals, the basics, the X's and O's, things of that nature kind of don't change. And I guess you can call it, that was eye-opening to me, where people on the outside may think of the NFL as the game being bigger than it actually is.
When you kind of got into that feeling where these are just guys, right? They're just guys just like anyone else that plays football. They love their job, love their work, and want to do the best they can. Was it hard to kind of at first, especially when you got there, to stop seeing them as the superstars and start seeing them just as the guy you're working with next to you?
No, like I said, the more time you spend with guys, it obviously becomes normal and natural and things like that, where you're not starstruck, you're not anything like that. But I will tell you this, those three guys, just as an example, I mean, I say normal, but they're like competitiveness. Right. The things about them, they're not normal. They're not normal in that sense.
I mean, they're going to be Hall of Famers for a reason, right? I mean, and then, the Honey Badger spent his time at LSU too. So you had that connection off the jump.
We had that connection. Me coming from there, he actually, when I got there, they just finished the Players Lounge, which he donated all the money for. So yeah, it was always, we had that connection, and we still would watch them on Saturdays in the hotel, keep up with them that way.
You've won 2 Super Bowls since then, since the last time we've talked to you, in 3 years there in Kansas City. That's crazy just to think. Like, that's the dream of dreams. That's every football player, every football coach wants to win one Super Bowl. You've won 2 of them. When you think of just where you're at right now, I know you're engaged as well. Congratulations on that.
Oh,
Like,
thank you.
the things that you're going through in life right now, do you ever just be able to stop and pinch yourself a little bit?
When you're in it, you don't exactly realize what you're going through because the day to day is so just nonstop. We're busy. We're going from one week to the next week to the next week. I just told people, like, I played 24 weeks this year with 3 preseason, 17 regular season, and the 4 playoffs. So that's not counting training camp and OTAs and everything that comes before that. And when, like I said, you're in it, you kind of just get consumed in it. But then right after the parade, where we have some time off before we go to the combine, you kind of get to sit back, and whether you have the TV on or something, reading through the internet, you kind of get to realize, like, what you actually just got done doing. We just won back-to-back Super Bowls, which, like you said, there's people I know that have been in the profession for a long, long time, and they haven't had the chance to even go to the playoffs, to win a playoff game, to play for a Super Bowl. There's a long list of things that you want to get done. And I'm just extremely blessed to be in the position that I'm in and to be surrounded kind of around the people that I'm around. And it takes a little luck along the way too, for me to fall into this organization. Eric Bieniemy, it's crazy. He was the one who was kind of my connection, or some people that I was connected to that kind of got my foot in the door here. So he's another one that, I have to thank. And then, my fiance, her name's Emily. She's an all-star. She takes care of everything at the house and kind of keeps me in check. And, she sacrifices a lot for me to kind of do what I'm doing.
I don't think enough people talk about the sacrifices families have to make when you're a coach at this level. Can you put into words like what that means to have someone just accept that and obviously come into it as a fiance now, and to be able to, that's the start of a relationship. That's the start of a life. And to say, hey, we're going to have this life together for what hopefully is a long coaching career.
Yeah, it takes an extremely special person to be married to a coach or to want to be with a coach. Like you said, it's just, it's a long hours, and it's a lot of time away from the house and away from family. As you start to build a family and kids and things like that. We got a dog who we absolutely love. So just, she wears a lot of hats around the house while I'm gone. So it takes an extremely special person to be able to do what she does. And, she's working and taking care of the dog, take care of the house, everything that comes with it. And just knowing my schedule and knowing that, she's got to give me up for a little bit of time. And then in the off season, we're able to make up with all the missed time we've had and everything. But I definitely wouldn't be here and doing what I'm doing without her.
So let's talk about this year's Chiefs team just before we let you go. We can't do it without it, because I'm a Chiefs fan. Can't let you go without talking about it. This season, there were a lot of people that kind of sold the Chiefs away down the river before the playoffs even started. The defense was the one that stepped up this year for a long time of the season, while the offense was trying to figure things out, find someone that was going to, step up. The defense really was the one that took the spotlight this year as a defensive coach, knowing that these guys had it in them all along, really. What was that like for you to go through a season where the defense is the one that starts to get the headlines and starts to get the attention, and they start to get the limelight that they deserve on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah. I tell people all the time, football is the ultimate team sport, and it takes offense, defense, special teams to win. And we had a good defense. Obviously, we were second in the NFL this year, but our offense and special teams and those guys did just as much to contribute and get the job done. Coaching staff, offensively, defensively, everything like that. But I thought what was awesome for us as defensive coaches was just to see the jump from our guys from last year to this year. And I think I may be off, or I know we're one of the youngest defenses in the NFL. And that's by age. we had so many rookies and first year guys in the system last year when we won the Super Bowl. And to see all those guys go from last year, whatever we were ranked, to take the jump and do what we did this past season, to be the second defense in the NFL, that showed a lot to us. And our guys bought into the system. You can tell we were young. Like I said, we were young in age, but the experience that all those guys had and the games they had under their belt from 2 seasons ago, they had to grow up fast 2 years ago. I mean, we're playing the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, and we got 4 rookie defensive backs out there trying to go fight to play for a Super Bowl. And just to watch those guys grow up 2 years ago and then take all those reps that they've had and show that they were going to take the next step in their career, I thought was a credit to those guys. And, Justin Reed was another guy who obviously played safety, but it was 2 seasons ago was his first year in our system. And then to see the season he put together this past year, that's what excited all of us coaches, in the sense of these guys are taking the next step in their career. They're serious about their craft. They want to win. And it's important to them. And just to see that happen from our defense was awesome for us coaches to see.
You can see just watching the games how much work gets put in on the secondary. You got Trent McDuffie back there, L'Jarius Sneed, who only gave up 1 touchdown all year, and it was a great throw and a circus catch in the end zone. When you have guys like that just exude the excellence and exude what you want out of a program, how much easier is that to coach them up and to put them in the right position to win?
Yeah, that makes the job 10 times easier. As hard as it is, guys like that, they're very enjoyable to coach. And what people don't understand is the amount of work that those guys put in. And I'm not just talking about Trent and LJ. It's, from rookie in our room to oldest vet in our room. Like, they're out there early before practice. They're staying after practice and getting their job done, sharpening their tools, because, again, like I said earlier, it's important to those guys and they want to be good. So what gives us satisfaction is seeing those guys go make plays and doing what they do, because they deserve that with all the work that they put in. That excites us, seeing those guys, watch them do a drill, and then boom, there it translates out on the field. And they're excited, we're excited. So the leadership in our room is second to none. I mean, those guys, Sneed and Justin Reed, and then there's a vet, Dion Bush, who was like our fourth safety, came in and the AFC Championship game played versus Baltimore. The AFC Championship game played 3 plays, had an interception. So it's like guys have just stayed ready all year, not knowing when their number was going to get called. And to see them go make those plays, I mean, it does nothing but excite you. And Josh Williams, Jalen Watson, all those corners that with Trent and LJ and Chamari Connor played a little bit in the nickel, some at safety, just not knowing when their number was going to get called, but being out there and showing up every time. That's what it's about.
From your perspective, this is now going to be your 3rd year as the safeties coach, and you've gotten the taste of what the business aspect of the NFL is, and how every team is different. You're always going to have to lose players, gain players. That's the way the NFL works. What's it been like for you to constantly just kind of having to flow like water with whatever's going to happen, and to be able to develop new players or keep the players you have, or evaluate players that you want to bring in and all that stuff that maybe you don't get as much, you get recruiting in college, but once they're there, for the most part, they're there. And definitely in high school, you have kids for 4 years. So what's it been like for you in the NFL to, get used to that aspect of the game where it's a business at the end of the day, and it's a revolving door sometimes, and you have to really be able to evaluate new talent every year and a new group every year too.
Yeah. I learned that early when I first got into the NFL, when I was just a defensive assistant. You're sitting in rooms, position rooms, and on Wednesday the guy's there, then boom, on Thursday he's not there, and you're like, what just happened? It's such a numbers game. It's a business, as you stated. And what you learn is, I'm going to do everything I can for everybody in that room. At the end of the day, us coaches, we have to coach the guys that are in that room at that time. And we're going to give them everything we got, and we hope they give us everything they have, and we're all fighting for one common goal. And like I said, it's something that I kind of learned early just from sitting back and observing of how it all went down. And then, yeah, you said it, every year is a challenge in the sense of, the team is not going to be the same from offense, defense, to special teams, from position rooms. And we know, going into next year, there's guys that we're not going to have on our team that we just won a Super Bowl with, or that we just won back-to-back Super Bowl with, or that have been with us for 4 years, or whatever the case may be, and you constantly are evaluating guys. And, our pro personnel staff, GM, those guys do an outstanding job of giving us talent, putting it in our room, and then it's our job to coach it up and develop it. And it starts with truly finding the people that fit our culture. And Coach Reed and the staff and Coach Veach, they've done a great job of establishing a culture and what we're looking for. And I think that starts in our draft process of interviewing guys, just first seeing if they're going to fit our culture. And then it's easy for us to kind of go coach them up. And when the best players are the hardest workers on your team, that makes life easy.
So we'll have one last question for you, because we appreciate your time. We don't want to keep you for too long. We're going to go full circle here. We're going to bring you back to Youngstown. I want to know, what are some things that you think you've taken from growing up in Youngstown, the culture of Youngstown, that you've been able to instill into Kansas City a little bit, and you've been able to, maybe say, hey, this is how we did things in Youngstown and into the Chiefs organization?
It starts with hard work, determination, grit, that whole deal, from being from Youngstown. And that's kind of how I was raised. I was going to do the job and get it done and work hard. And that's kind of how I've approached my coaching career. Whatever needs to be done, no job is too small for me to do. And going to be here to give you everything I have. And then I think the second thing, which is one of my most important things, is just the family aspect, whether it's, secondary room, team, or just relationships with guys in the building, on our team. My family's everything to me. Most of them are still back in Youngstown. So just to, what they taught me growing up my whole life, just to be able to kind of extend that into the NFL world, into the Kansas City Chiefs building, that's very important to me.
Kansas City, LSU, both places known for their foods, for foodies. One last question. Which one hits your palate more, the Cajun style of LSU in Louisiana, or the barbecue of Kansas City? Which one's more of your taste?
The barbecue of Kansas City was more of my taste.
Yep.
It's second to none. I'm sure there's some people that think otherwise, but what I just hope there, Kansas City has its top, people say, hey, you got to go here, whatever, but what I tell you, you can go anywhere in Kansas City and it's good barbecue.
You gotta find those like suburban towns that have the middle of the town barbecue joint that's mom and pop. Those are the ones that you really find.
Yeah. But no matter which one you pull up to, is going to be good barbecue for sure. So they don't disappoint in that category.
Don, Coach, we want to thank you so much for your time again. We know how busy life in the NFL is. We appreciate your time coming on, talking to us on YSN. I hope you know how proud that everyone here in the Youngstown community, everyone at YSN, I know Steve Leslie, he always talks about you. He loves what you're doing down in Kansas City, and we can't be prouder of you here in YSN. Anything you ever need from your sports network, you got it. And thanks for your time again, buddy.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate all you guys' support and everyone back home from Youngstown cheering for me. So thank you guys and enjoy talking to you.
Donald D'Alessio from Kansas City interviewing with us right after the combine. We appreciate that. And of course, Cardinal Mooney alum, Youngstown alum, we talk a lot about just that Youngstown mentality that you can take in the NFL and use. And what a great conversation. Want to thank him for his time. As always, that's a good way to wrap up the show. As I said earlier in the show, we have two district semifinals on the network tonight. Chris Sigler and Noah Doty going to be down there at Salem for South Range versus Perry. The winner will go on to play Mooney on Friday at Salem. And then Tyler Hertz is going to be in Grand Valley for Heartland Christian versus Bristol. That game's at 7 as well. That winner will go and take on Warren JFK. Friday at 7 at Grand Valley. So district championships will be set after today. Excuse me there. And we're excited for it. One payment of $9.99 gets you access to both games. Make sure to go to ysnlive.com/live to check out the schedule and buy your virtual ticket. I would recommend to do it well before tip-off. That way, in case you have any issues, we can help you iron them out before tip-off so you don't miss any of the games. So make sure to go get your virtual ticket and tune into the games tonight on ysnlive.com. We'll be back tomorrow for the second to last episode of Wrestling Wednesdays with Gary Altizer. Tomorrow is the day where we get ready for state. We have Chris Colucci coming back on the show. Dallas McCracken from United will be on the show as well. He's going to be our special guest. Scotty will, of course, be in on it. And then Gary, our wrestling guru. So episode 13 of Wrestling Wednesday comes at you tomorrow at Running Point. Brought to you, as always, by Greenwood Chevrolet. Tune in then. And until then, we will see you soon. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in today.